Muscat grapes do well in a warm climate, and you can make really nice Muscat wines from climates where the temperatures are higher than would work for traditional table wines. And so that really is the reason why it's a perfect variety to do here in the Central Valley.
I started working with the Quadys in 1983. I planted, grafted over a little over 6 acres to orange Muscat. Andy was just getting started in the basically, and the grape market was really bad. And I had some vineyard that I wasn't going to dig up or graft, and I talked to Andy. He said, "Hey, let's put in 6 acres of orange Muscat and see what happens." And from there, it's grown to 125 acres.
Moscatos are made with Muscat grapes, but too often they use a variety that is run-of-the-mill, so to speak. Ours is multifaceted, so we have all of these different dimensions going on and characteristics that really make it extra special. It's served really chilled, of course, and then you got something all summer long. It's perfect. Salt of the earth and the formation of this winery is a 3-part system. Andy Quady had the idea of making this spectacular Moscato for everybody to enjoy. My part of it is actually putting it together and making it. But the first part that often has to be talked about is the grower. And Dennis Prosperi, the grower here in Madera County that grows these Muscat grapes for us, is superb. He is one of the best growers I've ever had a chance to work with in my life.
I started farming grapes in 1971 when I was a senior in high school. I bought my first ranch at 17, and 46 years later, I'm still doing it. I raise about 8 different varieties of grapes, and every grape is a little different. I mean, a lot of people just raise grapes as all the same no matter what the variety is, but the reality is that's not what happens in farming grapes. Muscat Canali has to be raised completely different than orange Muscat. The Canali is a real tight bunch. It has a tendency to rot, especially if you want to get high sugars, so you have to manage them a lot differently. We cane prune to get a little bit looser bunch to a little longer bunch. We have to really watch the water the last month. My philosophy is real simple: to make the best possible grapes I can make given the current year.
That's really, we've got an extremely valuable partner in Dennis Prosperi. And of course Mike, who is never satisfied with anything less than perfection.
I think one of the main things that I find so exciting still, and one of the reasons I love making these Moscatos, is that the attention we pay to it in the entire process takes a lot of dedication. Skin contact with the Muscats has always been notoriously terrible. No winemaker wants to do this because Muscats have an inherent bitterness to them. So the longer it's in contact with the skin, the more bitter the wine is. We are not afraid to keep our wines in contact with the skin a little longer. The longer skin contact does a couple of different things. The main thing that it does, though, is provide more flavor and more character. So the yeast is working like crazy in here, using up the sugars, producing a little bit of alcohol, and that really important spritz that you notice, that little CO2 that stays in from the fermentation. Well, monitoring that is the winemaker's job, and that person is looking at that every hour, trying to figure out what is the right point to stop this fermentation, to remove the yeast and have a finished product. We're not afraid to go that little extra step there, but it takes a lot of work, a lot of monitoring all the time to do it.
Muscat is the word for a family of grapes. It's actually a French word, okay? And we have a number of varieties in that family, and we use 3 of them in here at this winery.
The black Muscat grape, it makes a large bunch. It picks late in the season, and normally by the later the season, black grapes color with cool nights. Hopefully you get some cool nights. But you also have to have some sunlight, and you have to have the bunches have to have air movement. The Canali, on the other hand, is a completely different animal. It's a white grape. It does not need color, but it makes a very tight bunch.
You've got the orange Muscat with a citrus orange character to it, which sometimes can be kind of a heavy taste or feel. And then you've also got the Muscat Canelli, which has got that nice crisp, grapefruity character, like a squirt in the eye kind of thing almost. It's just delicious.
It's sort of amazing when you think of it that in a warm climate such as we have, that we'll be able to deliver grapes that knock you over with their quality, their perfume, and everything.
But part of that aromatic character, you want to follow through, just not in the aroma, you want to follow through on the taste. And to really get that balance, something that you can appreciate over and over and over again is the balance between sweetness and acid. And with our Moscatos, we always want to maintain that balance. You don't want something that's so sweet that it's something that you go, okay, that was nice once. And you don't want something so highly acidic that you go, You want something in between. And that's really the key to our Moscatos, is this balance between the two.
My analogy is, if you have the best race car in the world, but you have a terrible driver, you're not going to win. And if you have the best driver in the world and you have a terrible car, you're not going to win. It takes a good driver and a good car and a good pit crew. And I think here at Quady Winery, obviously after 30-some years, it's pretty obvious that Andy and Laurel have put together a good team. They've done an outstanding job of marketing the product.
Basically, started with the idea that I wanted it to portray the name and the qualities of the wine. So, the name is salt of the earth, so I wanted an image in the vineyard that kind of showed that. And then I wanted something shows, the wine itself is light, young, effervescent, really fun. So I wanted to show that. And then having the picture of the woman was the idea that from the back, it's everybody in a way, and so everybody can kind of identify with it. And then the wine, the way Mike and Darren and Andy make it, it's a wine that everybody can love.
It occurred to me the other day, why did this come about? How did it come about that these Muscat grapes were selected, that this grape variety existed, right? Where did it come from? So my theory on Muscat is that we have Muscat because of the natural selection of humans. Humans were involved. Humans must have found these grapes growing wild, and they picked them, and then those seeds produced other grapes and they picked the ones that tasted the best or that smelled the best, and this is why we have that variety. It's going back, maybe thousands of years. I mean, there's cities in Arabia called Muscat, for example, and grapes were grown in Persia. They were grown in Armenia, even before then. So man has been fooling around with grapes and making wine for a long, long time. And I think this is why we have these Muscat varieties today.
Raise your glasses. Here's to the lowly of birth. Here's to the salt of the earth.
Cheers, Johnson.
Tastes good, huh?
Wow.
Wow.
Refreshing.